Welcome back. Well, we'd like to believe that all couples joined in marriage live happily ever after, but in today's world, that just isn't the way it works out all the time. A divorce presents a lot of personal challenges and many financial issues as well. And for more on that, we're joined by certified financial planner Jeff Rose with Alliance Investment Planning in Carbondale. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And what are some of the things that make for an especially ugly divorce, I guess you say, on the financial side?
Right. You know, I will say I've been very fortunate enough to where I haven't had to mess with too many just ugly divorces. But, you know, from my experience and just some of the research I've done, you know, probably one of the biggest things, especially what's happened in the past 12 months in the stock market, you know, is procrastination. And what I mean by that is that let's say that you decide to split the investments, you know, half and half. Well, it depends on what half that you get. Let's say that the half that you got is a little bit more aggressive, more in the stock market, and you don't make the appropriate changes to match what you're trying to accomplish. You know, you need to revisit those and say, hey, you know, if I want to be more conservative, let's take a look and make some of those changes.
Sure. So don't put things off whatsoever.
Absolutely. Other thing too is that we see beneficiaries, whether that be your 401k at work, maybe your IRAs, or even life insurance policies. If that spouse was the primary beneficiary, what I have seen is where maybe a divorce happened, say 5-6 years ago, and then that spouse remarries, and then they don't change the new spouse to the beneficiary, and the old spouse is still that. Well, guess what? Guess who's going to, you know, inherit that money?
Right. Things can get pretty complicated there, and especially if kids are involved too.
Exactly. You know, let's say that the spouse or the husband might be the breadwinner, and there's a life insurance policy that he is set to keep paying on to take care of that child support in case he passes away. Well, if he stops paying on it, and then he passes on, then you know the wife's left to take care of that, and that child support's no longer there. So you got to make sure that there's something in writing to make sure they keep paying on that life insurance policy.
Sure. And what about also when taxes are involved? What do you have to think about there?
There's many tax implications, and it can get pretty tricky. You know, definitely hire a tax professional to get involved. Probably the most common things that you see has to do with splitting up the home. You know, and let's say one spouse gets it and they decide they're going to sell it to split it. Well, it's not as easy as that. You know, there are some severe tax implications that you can look at. So make sure that, you know, you meet with a, you know, diverse attorney or a tax professional before you implement any of those strategies.
How important is it to get an attorney involved in this whole process? You
know, you'd like to think that even some of the friendlier divorces, you know, that you can just talk it out and not you know, bring one in. But you know, really, it starts getting tricky and things can get hairy pretty quick. So it just makes sense from a formality standpoint just to put things in writing, just so that you both have an understanding, you know, who's responsible for what, you know. So it definitely makes sense.
And overall, right now, just where the economy is concerned, is it becoming even more maybe complex or more of an issue for people to really figure out where their finances stand, you know, when a divorce is happening?
I just think just in this day and age, there are just so many different things that can evolve, you know, and when you bring in old retirement plans, life insurance policies, and, you know, taxes in the house, and just all these child support. I mean, there's so many different factors to take into consideration. So to think that you can just kind of hammer it out, you know, in one night or one day, you know, the reality is no, it's not going to happen.
Probably always going to be more complicated than you thought it was going in. Well, certified financial planner Jeff Rose, thank you so much for being here. And if you want more information on this topic and many others, you can visit Jeff's blog. That's goodfinancialsense.com, and we'll link to that on our website, WSILTV.com. Thanks